Hey guys, in today's episode, we look at our local league standings and see who's poised for a playoff push and who's just being really fake in the rankings right now.
Welcome to the Coach and Commish podcast. No, not John Gruden, and definitely not Roger Goodell. It's Chris and Sean breaking down fantasy football for the everyday man.
Welcome back. You're here with the Coach and Commish. I'm Chris, Sean to my right, and today we're going to talk about two things. First, we're going to get emotional at the beginning. Talking about
you're going to get emotional.
I might cry. And the comeback wins and a phenomenal week for fantasy. It was a great NFL weekend, a lot of clutch games. And then we're going to go into our standings in our league 6 weeks in. Let's see where everybody's shaked out. We got a lot in the middle that's just a bunch of 5-5 teams. So me and Sean get to weigh in and seeing if we think you're real or fake.
Yeah, so let's start with these comebacks. I'm sure there's a lot of leagues out there that had stories similar to this with that Monday night game and all those points scored at the end, especially at halftime. The first one here is Morgan and Phil.
Oh my goodness!
This keeps happening to Morgan. He keeps having a comeback on him. I keep assuring him there's no way when you're up by 67 points that Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews are going to score 67 points combined. But as you all know that watched that game, he said at halftime, that's the worst part. At halftime, he's like, I'm feeling great. Lamar's got like 3 points, not much for Andrews. And then the explosion happened, and it just didn't stop. The good news for him was I told him, well, you ended up losing by almost 20 points, so it's not like it was close.
It wasn't barely. I mean, they almost got 90 together. Yeah. Those two guys. So that was a Monday night heartbreak. Morgan, I feel you, because on Sunday night, I had the same feeling. Sleeper giving me this 98% or 95%
That's the worst
chance to win. I go to
Sleeper,
bed.
you got to stop that because it's just painful.
And I had this weird feeling. So I lost by 1.32 points.
Yeah.
And I was up by 20. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way Emmanuel Sanders is going to come back. He caught 2 touchdowns. That's the only way he got his 18 points. Emmanuel Sanders was the difference. I went to bed after he caught his first one. I was like, I should be fine. Kelsey will get his.
Yeah, Kelsey's who you thought you had to be scared with.
Yeah, I was like, Emmanuel Sanders, and there's no way. There's Beasley, there's Diggs. This game's not going to keep going to Sanders. Well, he only caught 3 balls. 2 of them had to be in the end zone.
Yep.
And Tim even thought he lost.
He went to bed as well.
We woke up.
We had very different mornings.
Monday morning was different. He was probably waking his whole household screaming that he won, and my dog had to check on me because I was crying in my bed, just face and pillow, screaming into it. My dog's like,
he
hey,
beat you by 1 point and got the extra win.
And got the extra win
by 1 point.
Yes, I thought I was gonna at least get that.
And you lost out by 1 point.
I lost out
both.
on everything.
So
it was great comeback wins, unless you're me or Morgan.
Yeah, and then just this other one to mention was Leroyce. He made a push for it. He had Marquise Hollywood Brown there, and Jonathan Taylor. I did have like a little bit of scaredness when that first 14-point play happened for Jonathan Taylor. I was like, oh no. I was like 14 points on like the first minute of the game is not a good start, but I ended up pulling it out.
That was an exciting Monday night for him and Phil. Leroyce and Phil were loving Monday night.
Yeah.
So that was some crazy drama. Loved it. I mean, got the chatter going. It came at. I mean, it really knocked me down in any type of rankings. I was hoping to go in there.
Let's get to these rankings here, Chris.
So 6 weeks in, our 12 teams.
5. This is week 5.
Week 5, right?
I don't know where 6 came from.
Where I thought we were by week 5. My bad. I'm thinking high school football. I just got done coaching. Going into week 7. For some reason, I'm
going into week 6, I guess.
Going into week 6. 5 games in. We work with the sleeper app for the league median. All right, if you're in top half, you get an extra win.
Yep.
So right here at number 1, did we see this happening on draft night?
Oh,
no. Ooh,
hold on.
Little light thing. Oh, came back on. We'll keep rolling.
Start the whatever was said you were saying right before that.
All right, so we'll start at number 1. Did we see this at draft night? No.
No.
But Phil is undefeated. It's 10-0.
It's dominating.
Dominating our league here, man. This has to be real. You believe in this team?
Yeah. He's got
yeah.
the most points in the league. That's really a good place to go when we're looking at is this for real or not? Is your points for? And yeah, with the 675 points, he looks legit. Like, I'm scared to play this man next week for sure.
I mean, he's got James Conner and DeAndre Swift at the tailback position. He basically gave up Alvin Kamara for that.
Ronald
right?
Jones has not been good for him. I mean, that's where your weakness is. James Conner, that's, you're hoping for touchdowns, and that's all you're going to get. But with DeAndre Swift, that's a fantastic pick that we didn't think would be. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson, obviously, can win you weeks. And then your wide receivers are amazing, and Tyreek Hill and Keenan Allen. They didn't even have to do anything last week.
Cooper Kupp at the flex, who's been wide receiver 1 for most of the week, most of the season so far. So I like that ranking there.
Yeah, I think you're poised to continue towards the top of the league. So
at 2 and 3 here, we got 2 teams with the same record. But Sean, you are edging out Tim here, sitting at 6 and 4. What do you feel about your team sitting at second place? Do you believe it, or are you still worried?
No, I mean, I feel great. I feel like I have potential to even go higher. Whenever I can get Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara to go off at the same time, that would be helpful. Also, Allen Robinson is going to the bench, so that will help my team. It's an unfortunate situation, but thank you, Morgan. I now have Deontay Johnson, so I can make that move and feel a little better about it.
That's it. You left a lot of points on the bench. You still won with Dalvin Cook accidentally left in your lineup.
Yeah.
So, Leroy's, how does that feel? Okay. Anyways. All right. At number 3, we have Tim James.
The doctor,
not an MD. His team, he texted me earlier today. He's like, I can't believe I'm in third place. And you know what? It was a head scratcher as well, too. I mean, we look at lineups here. I mean, you pull out a victory this weekend against me, which isn't hard to do since I'm sitting at the bottom. But I love the Najee Harris-Saquon trade. I think it really set him up well. He would be hurting hard if he kept Saquon.
Yeah, Najee and Henderson as his running backs, fantastic. Rodgers as a quarterback, great. Cooper, he's found something here in Sanders. That's a real good find to have him. And then Kelsey, Melvin Gordon, another trade he made. That's going to suit him well. The bench isn't anything special, but yeah, I think I wouldn't peg him as the third best team in the league, but I think he's playoff poised. Like, he'll be fine.
And it's week to week matchups. Fantasy, it's not always winning on paper there. All right, so that's our top 3. Right here starts the run of guys really wanting to get this fourth and last position in the playoffs again.
No, we got 6 now, remember?
Or 6 now. Oh, my bad. 6. There's
spots.
hope for me. Okay, so at 4 starts a run of guys at 5 and 5. But the captain, yes, David, he is still playing fantasy.
And he is 1 spot ahead of you.
Yes, Morgan is sitting at 5th.
Now,
wow.
Morgan's, I would say, the first one that's a little underrated. He's been in some tight games and lost a lot of them. But his team, now losing Edwards-Helaire is huge. That's going to hurt. But he's got Jalen Hurts, who's been a great surprise. He's been steady, awesome for him. And then these wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin,
Jamar
Chase. He just traded away, but he had Deontay Johnson. He's got Robert Woods. Like, if he can just maybe flip Robert Woods into a usable running back and hope that CEH's injury isn't that bad, then he can get by with Derrick Henry, Myles Gaskin, and whoever he's able to get that trade done for. But
yeah, I was trying to get Jamar Chase off of him early in the year, but I should have flipped him there earlier. All right, yep. Morgan, take that, David. Anyways, David at 5, 1 behind Morgan.
Why don't you break down David's team here?
David.
He started off in a world of pain, but
he did.
He's come back.
I don't understand how you make this comeback. First off, you won this week with Kyler Murray having a bad week, but that guy's going to carry you. Yep. Him alone there. And then
to me, it's the Hunt trade.
Yes. You have the best RB2 in Hunt.
Yeah. He went from nothing to, what did he trade? I'm trying to remember what he traded.
Cordell Patterson.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah. He gave Cordell Patterson and Devontae Adams for Diggs and Hunt.
Okay.
Which it's turned out good. Diggs, the target was
he still
really
might
weird.
regret the trade, though, because Patterson hasn't slowed down too much.
Yeah.
And then
Adams went for 200 yards
Adams
receiving.
has been.
It's ridiculous. But I like how your team is set up with
paid up for Damian Williams last week.
Yeah, Higbee sitting okay. It's going to be a struggle there, I think, with because the hard part with Kareem Hunt is he shares with Nick Chubb. Mm-hmm. And are you going to get a 20-point week, or are you barely going to get 11? Right? Yeah. That's the hard part there.
I don't have any issue there. I think his flex down the road could be an issue. Claypool, he's going to be choosing between Claypool. I mean, Damian Williams isn't a rest of season thing. Yeah, so you could have some issues at flex, but you can always pick something up. So he's about fairly ranked, I would say, down in that middle area.
All right, so moving from 5 to 6, we stay in the Kalana family. We go to Tidewater Turtle.
Mr. Turtles.
All right, Turtle, you came short to my brother this week, barely, with how many injuries you had.
Yeah,
which was
it's a rough week for him.
Ridiculous. But you almost pulled it off. Man, you fell for that Zacchaeus thing too. I did too in another league. That didn't really work. All right. I think
once everyone's healthy, he's the first one I think that has a potential for, getting towards the top and moving his way up. He's got Dak Prescott. Now his team looks totally different than what it will. He's got a lot of injuries last week, but he would have Dak Prescott, Austin Eckler, Chris Carson, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Noah Fant, and then in the flex, he's looking at Julio, who's been sitting in his IR spot. So, yeah, I think, and then he's got Mike Gesicki on the bench. Like he's deep. He's got a good quarterback. I think that he's potentially one that could make a Super Bowl run.
Now, yeah, the only thing I can think about that road really just ruin him would be if Calvin Ridley's still stuck in this mess in Atlanta.
Yeah.
For some reason, we knew they were going to suck, but we didn't think it would affect Calvin Ridley. All right, so sitting at 7, Joe, usually up there, higher in the rankings, but you know what? He'll make a late run. He'll get back up there.
Losing Christian McCaffrey will do that to your team.
Yeah, it would, but he'll be coming back. He's circling the wagons. There you go. Use your team name. But having Josh Allen, bringing back McCaffrey, that is amazing. Antonio Gibson in your flex. Well, he's your RB2. You had Michael Carter up there. But just those guys alone will be fine. And then you just have to find the right mix at wide receiver. And I think you'll be sitting really well. Mike Evans is obviously fine to have there.
T. Higgins isn't bad.
No, those guys are good receivers when you're basically going zero wide receiver approach.
The depth is hurting. I mean, you've got Cole Beasley, Jamison Crowder, Juju's now out. Like, yeah, you need to get some depth. But besides that, pretty fairly ranked edge playoff team.
Yeah. So moving on from Joe there. So that's a 7th spot. My brother, the lesser, better looking, whatever twin he calls himself, Mikey, the bearded wonder. Mikey, you're sitting at 7. And I'm quite impressed by how you've managed your team to this point. With you, Trey Sermon
with 1 carry,
0.7, 1 carry.
That's the first thing I see.
Adam Thielen getting 2 catches for 40 yards. Like you should have wiped Daniel, and you barely got there. But those were some fluke weeks with Thielen. That Vikings offense that's something I can rant on later. But if I looked at your team right now, you would have to figure out that RB2 spot, man. Yeah. I don't mind everything else on that team, but Sanders, Singletary, will they be the answer? Maybe.
That's so sad. Sanders can't be anything.
I know, right? You just such disappointment there in Philadelphia. But Mike, if I were you, call Leroy, see if he's down to trade an RB. All right, moving on from Mike.
I don't understand. That man trades so many running backs, and he still has so many.
I don't know.
He's manufacturing them over there.
I think he's got a bunch of fake ones. He's got like this whole little cheat code inside. It does seem like he has too many guys. But going from the 5 and 5 grouping that we had, now we're down to 2 guys at 4 and 6. Andy, all right, sitting right there with at number 9.
Yeah, and I would say Andy's actually underrated here. As far as points scored, he's at 585, and that's up in the top 5 there. So he's got more points scored than I do. Currently. So I think that Andy's, kind of underwhelmed based on the matchups that he's had. But for his team, Stafford's great. James Robinson's he looked a little rough at the beginning of the season, but I think he's going to be fantastic. Losing Barkley, that's going to hurt. That's really what's going to hurt this kind of effort to move your way up the rankings. So you're going to need to figure that out. Yeah. That's where it falls apart. Otherwise, you've got Josh Jacobs. You can slide up into there, and then you're just going to have to find yourself a flex spot. Your wide receivers, when A.J. Brown, gets fully healthy, you've got Chris Godwin and A.J. Brown. I love that. Kyle Pitts is finally starting to look like he's being used more. And then, Brandon Cooks in the flex, that's not a bad option. So, and Cortland Sutton on your bench there. I don't know what you were doing with that, but...
Well, that's where I would look at. If the hard part in this league, RBs are kept very, close to the chest here, but Brandon Cooks and Cortland Sutton, if they're not going to be making your lineup right now, and you're not sitting well...
Package him up and go get a running back, man.
Yeah, you got Josh Jacobs sitting in there, but you got to plug something in for Saquon. So either... You can put Jacobs up there at RB2 and play those receivers at the flex, and you're gonna be flexing on us, all right? Which I think is pretty good. I like your team. I agree with you, Sean. He is underrated. You should be making a run here in the next few weeks. All right, moving on to Leroyce, the trade machine himself. 4-6. How do you trade away so much and still have more wins than me? That is just so wrong. But Leroy's, let's look at Leroy's team. It changes every week, so it doesn't matter if we look at it.
I have no idea, and we don't know what it will be in 2 weeks. So
we really don't. But
he's lost Russell Wilson, so he's going to have to figure out a quarterback. Daniel Jones, I don't think is the answer. So I would look elsewhere. His running back too, he's got Jonathan Taylor, which is fantastic. But then Zach Moss right now is who he's starting. That's gross. It's because Mixon. He was a little afraid of Mixon to be in. So he'll get Mixon back into there. So Mixon, Taylor, great running back stable. He's been struggling at wide receiver all year. He's got Jacoby Myers, Corey Davis sitting in there. Marquise Brown, he's probably your best option right now.
You're welcome.
Yeah, for a Tyson Williams that's not done anything for you.
Traded for 2 carries. Okay.
So, you need to figure out your flex position is really where you're struggling.
Yeah, man, you're right. I can't argue with that. It does change like musical chairs in your squad, but
as far as placement,
just
everybody's still got a shot at the playoffs, but this is one that I'm thinking is going to be an edge and just barely out.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the new guy who is just above me, which I don't like.
Yeah, look at that. You're worse than the new guy.
I'm worse than the new guy. But new guy...
You guys scored 155 points this week.
And you started Heineke that scored less than 10. How did he... What? Let me see the rest of the squad.
Devontae Adams and Mike Williams. Yes. That's how.
Mike Williams. That's right. You got some good receivers, man. I know we just made a...
He's got Metcalf, Devontae Adams, and Mike Williams.
And he's getting Aaron Jones because I took Metcalf from him.
Oh, that's right.
So he's moving Mike Williams to RB2. Wide receiver 2. Devontae Adams going to wide receiver 1. He's probably replacing Fournette.
I think that's a good move, honestly.
Yeah, Fournette or Patterson with Adams and probably put one of those guys down at the flex. Matt, you could make a run. Just figure out your quarterback position. Why in the world?
That is going to be, the big thing. All right, and now let's look at Chris, the loser of the league.
Yeah. Holding it down.
So what's gone wrong, Chris? What's going on with this team?
I liked my team. I really did. Going in every week. Herbert was underperforming until this week, and obviously I lose
50
by a point.
points.
But it really hurts at the running back 2 position. It's really killing me.
Well, now that you've traded your running back 1 away, you're in real trouble.
And then I lose because I put Kenny Golladay in the flex. He gets me 0. So him and Marvin Jones, I was hoping one of those guys would get that flex position. And been playing musical chairs with both of them in there, and none of them wanted to take that spot. And then my RB depth behind it, yes, Davis found the end zone this week, but
so Chris,
Murray and Williams.
Yeah.
6 carries, 8 carries, 10 carries. Who goes?
I just realized you have Tyson and Murray. What are you doing over there?
I was just trying to see who's be the hot hand. I picked up one. I traded for the other. Stupidly traded for Tyson.
So, I don't know, Chris. This looks like the last place team now.
It looks like a last place
Losing,
team, yeah.
Not having Aaron Jones anymore and having Metcalf, it's probably a fair swap. So now you'll have that powerhouse of wide receivers that are going to need to be your whole team because you're going to have DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, and Metcalf coming in. But your running backs are gross, man. Damian Harris, and now you're going to have to put in Mike Williams, Latavius Murray.
Oh, it
Tyson
sucks.
Williams.
But I'm not done yet. If I'm going to keep moving, making some moves.
Okay.
But
Are you giving up on the year yet, or is you just...
No, I think the Aaron Jones for Metcalf put in like trade analyzers. Some people might like it more one way or the other. I liked it because, hey, it's not like I'm selling, but I gained a really
potential
good keeper for
Okay.
next year. I can't
like it.
sell out. I have that rule. I can't be a fire
Well,
sale.
and you fantasy players out there, don't sell out. Even if you're at the bottom of your league, even if you're 0-5 right now. Remember, there's an extra game this year. It's still possible. So we're gonna let Chris be our example, and you're gonna make the playoffs, right?
Yes. I just had to shake it up. Sometimes you got to shake it up, and trades are amazing in fantasy football.
Alrighty, well, that's what we got for you guys this week. Our league mates, make sure you jump in the chat. Let us know what you thought of these diagnostics of your team. Do what you need to do to get into the playoffs. And anything else for him, Chris?
Yeah, trade with Leroy's. All right, guys.
That's not hard. He'll do it.
Hit us up on social media if you're not part of a league. Even if you are, hit us up there. That's where you guys will see our videos and all of our Sunday start sit advice that we give. We get a ton of them. Keep them coming.
All right, see you guys.
Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Coach and Commish podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Coach and Commish. And join our Facebook group called Fantasy Football Advice with the Coach and Commish for direct access to weekly waiver wire and start sit advice.